Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Cap Rack. It's going to be my goal is a 10-minute or less episode every single day, giving you guys the sports betting rundown for the day. It's going to be me solo, but today, for the special UFC 251, I believe, is it?
That's right.
251. All right, I'm joined by Giorgio Courtis, a friend from Monmouth University, and
That's
we're just
right.
going to be
That's
pretty
right,
much
dude.
going through the main card. Want to say hello to the people?
Yeah, man, I'm so excited about this. I know I probably 7 text messages. I was like, dude, you got to have me on. I'm so excited for this weekend. This is one of the best cards that we've seen. There's 3 title fights, and then we have 2 fights that could be posed as fight night fights. Like, these are just, I've never seen a card this stacked since maybe the McGregor card in January when we had guys like O'Malley in there. But even then, I think this is just one of the best cards that we've seen in like a long, long time. I would pay double what I'm about to pay on Saturday to watch this from home. I'm
Yeah.
excited, dude.
No, I'm with you there. All right, so we have what you said, 3 title fights. So
That's
the main
right.
event, obviously, was supposed to be Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns, but obviously Burns tested positive for the coronavirus, so he never made the trip to Abu Dhabi. And of course,
That's
Jorge
right.
Masvidal's got to be there on Twitter, just barking and barking and barking at Dana White to get him in that fight.
Yeah.
And as of right now, we're recording this on Thursday night. He's passed 3 coronavirus tests, all came back negative, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he has to have one more test to be able to fight Usman on Saturday.
Yeah. He's got to get a few more tests. Dude, I
Yeah,
mean,
but
the
it
way
should
this
be
played
good.
out was insane. Did you watch the Gilbert's last fight when
Yeah,
he
he's a
fought
maniac.
Tyron Woodley?
Yeah, he's a
Oh my
maniac.
Lord. It was right after that was I think the fight night after Anthony Smith, where they were having all these underdogs win, and then here comes Gilbert Burns, dude. He absolutely dogged Ronnie, and he put on a performance, taking out number 1 in the division, and then tests positive for COVID. And then, I mean, dude, this is like, and then the way this turns out, I heard the UFC out to Jorge in this occasion, and it just played out perfect. Jorge wasn't happy with the money he was going to be making, which scared the shit out of me. He's like the last star in the sport, and then they reach out to him and they get him back in, which is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, I just smacked my mic. Yeah, I was excited to watch the Burns versus Usman just because it's like 2 completely different styles. Like when you have a guy like Burns with the
Mm-hmm.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu that he has, he can literally take you to the mat once and keep you there for the entire round and just control you and control you and control you. And that's what he did to Woodley. So it would have been an
Oh my
interesting
God, yeah.
matchup stylistically against Usman, but
Yep.
he's got a freak like Jorge Masvidal coming at him this time. So we're gonna see what happens.
Dude, I mean, yeah, that's the thing with Gilbert Burns. I know we're focusing on the card for Saturday, but it would be like a shame if we almost didn't talk about him. He has a similar fight style to almost someone like Khabib, where he's such a threat to
Yep.
take you to the ground. What he'll do is he'll do that a few times, and then he'll shoot the takedown and throw this looping overhand right, which is exactly what Khabib caught McGregor with in that one fight where McGregor got dropped. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what he did to Tyron Woodley, which was crazy to see. So who knows how that would have
Yeah.
played out against Kamaru Usman.
You got
But
to imagine
we
he's
don't
gonna
have to
get the
worry
winner
about
of
that.
this fight, most likely.
Most likely. And I mean, yeah, what do you think about, do you want to start with the main card? The main event, or do you want to start at the bottom? Where do you want to start on this card?
I say we go bottom down or bottom up. So we can start
Bottom
with
up.
women's
That's
flyweight
fair.
bout. Amanda Rebus coming in 9-1, taking on Paige Van Zant. And I know we are talking about this before, but Paige Van Zant is in the last fight of her UFC
Odds.
contract. She hasn't fought in
Yep.
almost a year and a half at this point. You have Rebus at a
Yeah.
minus
Close to
900 favorite. Van Zant at plus 600. What do you have on this one?
that. Dude, we were talking about this before the show a little bit. I would be extremely scared to throw this in a parlay with the rest of the main card. I would just bet on the straight, and I might even bet on Paige. I think that Amanda looks amazing. She's minus 900. I mean, Paige is plus 600 here. So, I mean, come on. Like, there's a reason the stats are like that, or the odds, rather. But, I mean, I don't know. I heard someone say this recently in an interview. Paige is not going to want to leave her UFC career on a loss. I mean, she's an awesome fighter. Like, she's the reason she got to where she is fame-wise, going to Dancing with the Stars and, you know, all these different things she's done and making more money outside of the UFC than in the UFC is because she was awesome at what she did. She's 9-4, right? Yeah. Yep. 9-4. And, yeah. And dude, I mean, she is an awesome athlete. I don't think she's going to want to leave with a loss, obviously. And dude, she's going all the way to Abu Dhabi. I just might bet straight on this. I'm going to leave it out of the rest of what I got going on. I don't know if you agree with that kind of logic there.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's with the odds the way they are, it's definitely like a dog or pass fight for me. I'm not going to lay minus 900 on Amanda Ribas. She on paper, she's the better all-around fighter. And Benzant has been out of the sport for a year and a half, like I mentioned. And I mean, on the topic of Abu Dhabi, which obviously Fight Island is in Abu Dhabi, we were talking about this again this morning. The fights are going to be the prelims start at 2 a.m. local time. Now, how do you think that has an impact on these guys?
How about this? I mean, like when Corona started, you know, the big thing that they were getting used to was like no crowd. Some guys fought in the Ultimate Fighter, you know, series where there was already no crowd. Guys like Sean O'Malley, they excel in an environment like that. Some other guys, they love that kind of thing. Mike Perry's freaking lunatic, so he loves that stuff too. But now you have no crowd. Not only that, dude, they're taking 5 Corona. They're quarantined in Nevada. Then they got quarantined in Abu Dhabi. Now they're fighting. Like, how much can you throw at these people? So it's like everyone that's there, like, wants to, for the most part, or they have to be there financially. I mean, and then the prelim starting at 2 a.m. Do you sleep before that? Or do you just say, like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to get used to staying up late. How about the guys fighting at 4 a.m. that time?
Yeah.
5. Dude, that's nuts.
I got to imagine it's all part of the fight camp. Like, obviously, I've never been a professional fighter before, but, like, leading up to it, there's got to be some sleep adjustment kind of period in there for them. And especially the second they get on the island, they have to be flipping that schedule completely in the opposite direction because, like, the main event is going to be taking place at 7 o'clock.
Yep. That's where our buddy, you know, hopefully, what's his face, Jorge takes the title. But
I hope so.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I wonder how much that's going to affect the rest of the card. I mean, especially Jorge taking the fight on short notice, cutting. I mean, we'll leave that for that conversation. But, I mean, I mean, in this, I think it's pretty easy to say just I wouldn't put too much money down on the fight.
No.
It might be one of those crazy upsets. But, I mean, I don't know. I would leave it out of a parlay if that's my educated gambler's advice, I guess you could say.
I would agree with that.
But who knows? Yeah. And we were talking about this before. I mean, the favorites on this card, minus 900 in the 5th fight. What do we got here? Minus 200 in the 4th fight. Minus 240 in the 3rd fight. Minus 220 and then minus 230. I mean, do you think they're all going to go that the odds, you know, the odd gods have, like, predicted or what?
So I feel like UFC is a sport where the underdog is a lot more live than they would be in, like, football, especially at these levels. Like, for example, like, let's move on to the next fight. Like, Jessica Andrade at plus 175 as the underdog. Like, Jessica Andrade is completely capable of winning this fight. She did already beat Rose Namajunas last time they fought with the ridiculous body slam knockout. Like, never seen anything like that.
I honestly haven't in a while. Like,
but that's the thing with these, because these fighters can just, like, it's literally human versus human, and they're all extremely talented to the point where if somebody wants it bad enough and you can land that one strike, you can come out as a very live dog. Like, anything's possible here. Like, obviously there's a lot more skill to it, but it's just, like, for example, like, why is Andrade plus 175 here? She won the last fight. That's the thing.
But if you rewatch that fight, Rose was winning all the way up until she lost. I mean, she was really putting on a clinic. She looked awesome in that fight. And then what she did was she made this is why style makes fights, because you're going against, if I'm not mistaken, Andrade is Brazilian, right? So she's got to be a master in, you know, grappling just by nature. Right. And so what happened was Rose went for what is that called? Kamara or something?
The Kimura,
Some
yeah.
sort of hold, right? Kimura,
Mhm.
thank you. And the first time she did that, if you watch how she got slammed, she got so lucky in the first round to get slammed by Andrade on her legs. Then she was a little bit silly enough to go for it again in the second round, and that's where she got dropped on
Exactly.
her head, knocked out. And I mean, I'm assuming if I'm an odds maker, I'm like, is that going to happen again? Probably not. Could
I
it?
would agree.
Yes, but Rose looks awesome going into this fight. She really does.
Without a doubt. Yeah, I
Also,
mean, if I had to bet on this one, I'd probably go with Rose. Just strictly based off the fact that she's A, younger, B, like you said, she controlled a majority of the fight before, and
yes.
Andrade pretty much just stole that. But that's just going back to how underdogs can just play a completely huge spoiler effect and just absolutely wreck your card.
Insane. And I mean, you have to think about what happened after the last fight that they were in. Rose lost to her, obviously, in Brazil. And what happened was Andrade went to go fight Wei Li over on foreign territory again,
Mm-hmm.
and lost by knockout, if I'm not mistaken. So they're both coming off losses here. I mean, one is a loss to Andrade, and then Andrade lost the title. So the title's
Mm-hmm.
been passed. This fight is
Yeah.
really for like, okay, like who really should go and fight, the champion of that division. So I'm actually like really excited for that. That could have been a fight night on its own, main event, but that's the fact that I love the UFC is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, moving on. So the first of the 3 title fights of the night, we have Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo. This is the bantamweight title bout. Pretty much opportunity created because Henry Cejudo decided to just take a W and walk away from the sport, which I'll never understand. But yeah, this is
Did
why
you
we have
watch
this
that
fight.
live that night?
Yeah, I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I know Dana White probably had a clue it was coming, but like, I don't know. But I don't blame the guy. He did
That
what he
was
wanted to do, and that's it. But now we have
yeah.
Jose Aldo
I mean,
fighting for a bantamweight fight at 35 years old. So I don't know.
yeah, he's older. He's either 33, 34, or 35.
He's
He
up there.
looks
Is the
older than
point?
he is.
He's
Yeah,
33.
he's in his yeah, right, there we go. He's getting into his 30s, right? So as a UFC fighter, once you cross that like 34 mark, it all usually
Yeah,
starts going downhill. But I
exactly.
mean, unless you're Alexander Overeem. But dude, like taking a step back, this division right now. I mean, dude, this is the same division that Stamann is in, Cody Stamann, who put
Yep.
an awesome performance on after losing his brother in that last fight. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
he dogged whoever's opponent was, I forget, in that fight. We got Sean O'Malley in this division,
Yep.
undefeated in the UFC. Like, dude, knockout artist. And then we got guys like, dude, Aljamain Sterling just moved up to number 3 or number 2 or something like that when he
Well,
just
he had a
jumped
great
on
fight.
that guy's back and did a oh my god, it was insane. So I mean,
Yep.
just taking a step back, like this division is gonna be insane no matter what. If it comes down to it, dude, Peter Yan is or Jan rather. By the way, his name is Petr, like Peter, like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. Um, he's 14-1. He has no losses in the UFC. He won his last 6, and then looking at Aldo, ever since he lost to McGregor, he's been knocked out 3 times, and he's 3-5, dude.
Yeah. I'm not high on him right now. Like, he's almost like
No,
I wouldn't call him a gatekeeper in a sense, just because gatekeeper is a term traditionally used just for younger guys trying to break into the sport, and it's basically like, hey, all right, here's a rite of passage. Like, go out and beat, I don't know, Uriah Faber, I guess you could say.
right. Yeah,
But like,
yeah, I get what you're
speaking of
saying.
Uriah Faber, Peter Yan beat Uriah Faber in his last fight at,
That
I
was
believe it was at the
nasty.
Prudential Center. No, in
I don't know where
December.
it was.
It was Usman
Um,
versus Covington, UFC 245. Maybe it wasn't at the Prudential Center.
oh, he was
Um,
on that card?
yeah, the Usman versus Covington card.
Oh,
Back
I
in
didn't know that.
December.
I,
That was at the arena in Vegas. But he
oh
knocked
yeah,
out Uriah Faber in the 3rd round.
it was
So like,
so. I mean,
I don't know.
man, and he was talking to him too. He's a crazy guy. I don't know if you've been in these UFC vlogs and everything, but it kind of gives you a little bit more of like a feeling of like how people are preparing and whatnot. I
Mm-hmm.
like the way that Peter Yan looks going into this. I think that I mean, the odds makers did a good job here. I think that it's pretty easy to see. Most likely, Peter Yan takes this, and Aldo moves to 3-6 in his last 9. So, not much to really talk about, I guess.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a striker fight, and I just think Jan is more active and will be able to just wear Aldo down. He's lost it at this point, and maybe he'll prove us wrong because Jan isn't necessarily proven, but he definitely deserves his
Yep.
title fight. So we'll see what happens.
I would be shocked if Peter lost that fight. But then
I don't
again,
think he
dude,
will.
I don't think he will. I
Well, all
would
right.
bet
So
money. Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I would bet straight on that also. Even though it's minus 240,
Yeah.
I would bet more than I normally would on a regular fight. I feel very good about that fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, he's gonna have to get in there because looking at the stats here, both guys are 5'7". Aldo has a 3-inch reach advantage,
Mhm.
but Jan lands 5.6 significant strikes per minute, while Aldo lands 3.47. Jan's a little bit more accurate, and he's got the advantage. His takedown average is 1.73, while Aldo's is a
Mhm.
0.64.
How's all those
So
takedown defense?
his takedown
Does it say there?
defense, I could find it.
I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I
I
think I
got to
heard it was pretty
imagine
good.
it's got to be because you don't get to where he is without it being good. But his takedown
Yeah,
defense,
I don't think.
65%.
Yeah, that's pretty
Uh,
decent.
91%. Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds more accurate.
So I
I
think
don't
this is
think
going
it's
to
going
stay
to
on
go
the
to the
feet.
ground. Yeah, it's
I
not
agree.
going 5 rounds. I'll tell you that much.
There's no
Um,
shot.
I think as that one McGregor song goes, Aldo goes to sleep. He's he's going to go to sleep a little bit early. He's going to be going to sleep around what is that 6 a.m. in Abu
Yeah,
Dhabi.
I'm gonna. If I had to take a prop bet here, I would probably take Jan by knockout in the second round.
Really, second round, huh? I would
Second round or
say,
maybe early in the third.
yeah. I would go further, maybe late third, late third. I don't know about the fourth round, but I'd feel pretty comfortable placing a straight bet on Jan by knockout just to
Yeah.
increase some odds, and also it's not going to go 5 rounds. I really would be shocked if it did.
Well, he's also never fought 5 rounds. That's the thing. Aldo has. So that's another
Wow.
thing to
Yeah.
think about here.
Interesting.
But look,
Huh.
like we're saying, we're probably not going to go 5 rounds anyway, so he's going to want to end that early.
Saying that Jan has never been in a 5 round fight, or he's been in 5 round fights and knocked
He
people out
hasn't.
before the 5 rounds is over.
He's never been in a
Oh,
5 round
that's
fight, at
very
least in the
interesting.
UFC, at least. But I don't
Yeah.
know.
Wow, that's actually pretty interesting that they put him at minus 240 then, because a lot of guys lose like that. I'm not saying that Jan will, but a lot of guys go into a title fight with an experienced guy like Aldo, and they'll lose just because they're not used to 5 rounds if they get to the fourth and
Yeah, it's
fifth.
the
But
truth,
I'm sure he's been preparing for that. Yeah,
without a doubt.
interesting.
All right, moving on to
Cool.
the. You can call this a co-main. I don't know if they're calling it a co-main, but Alexander
I think it.
Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Is it a co-main?
Yep. I think it is. I'm surprised I don't know that just off the top of my head. Um, I think it is a
Regardless, yeah,
co-main event. Yeah.
it doesn't
I mean,
matter. We
either
can we
way.
can call it a
But
co-main.
yeah. They got Holloway at plus 185, Volkanovski at minus 220. So this is a rematch. So their
Yeah.
last fight was obviously they fought each other, and if you rewatch that fight, it's very clear that Volkanovski he
Mm-hmm.
won that fight. And just kind of going off of that, like Holloway does not look good going into this fight. He's got a bad attitude. He's really like complaining, saying that he won the last fight. I mean, in all of the press that he's doing, he's hanging out. He's eating whatever he wants. He hasn't sparred this whole training camp. I mean, that's extremely ballsy. And when I watched an interview with Volkanovski today, his nose was marked up. He's been preparing. He's He's sparring in the hallway. This guy's in it. This is an extremely
Yeah.
clear win for Volkanovski to me. I mean,
I agree with you.
I would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I bet on Holloway in the last fight, and obviously I was disappointed because Volkanovski won. But just after rewatching that fight, you can almost just tell how much Volkanovski just controlled him. He stays tight to his body like this. He plays extremely good defense on his feet, and then his counters are pristine. Like he'll take 1-2 shots, fire back, and his third shot that he returns is stronger than the first two combined that he just absorbed. And I feel like he's just like a little bulldozer. Like he'll stand in there with you and he'll go. He's got the chin of a friggin' maniac, so he'll give Holloway another run for his money here.
The thing is, Volkanovski's on an 8-fight win streak in the UFC right now, and 2013 was his last loss. It's 2020. That was 7 years ago. I mean, obviously, win streaks are meant to be broken, right? Like, I mean, you see that happen. How long? I think I read something that he's actually on an 18-fight win streak or something crazy like that. I don't know how that's possible, but
this is another guy with a win against Aldo.
Who? Volkanovski. Oh, that's right. He has fought Aldo in the past.
Yeah.
Yep, because Aldo used to be in that division, and then he started cutting down an extra weight class. Yeah. Yes. It's funny when you look at some of these things, like even in the bottom two over here, there's some crossover. They fought each other before. I forget where and when.
It was 237.
I mean, also, interesting.
Namajunas versus Andrade that night.
Yep. Which is like, it's like crazy. You think you fought someone and then you're gonna see them fight again. And are you friendly? Probably. But dude, I saw something today where Volkanovski. I made sure I wrote this down. I was scrolling through Instagram, and Volkanovski. What is this weight division? 145. He used to weigh 219 at one point. He played rugby. He's an Australia guy. Dude, you should see what this guy looked like at 219. How tall is he? 5'7", 5'6", 5'7"?
5'6" here.
I mean, dude.
But the thing here. Say it again.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what do you weigh? I weigh 190 right now, and I'm 5'8"3/4.
I'm like just barely touching 170.
Can you imagine being?
I don't know how. What I don't understand is how these guys can look like what they look like at 145. Like I can't imagine being that built and being 25 pounds lighter than I am now, because I'm like very average size. Like I'm not big. I'm not like super skinny, but like I can't imagine being that built at 145. You gotta have no body fat on your body.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because even Holloway, like he at 145, he just looks like a normal dude, and he looks like he's not jacked by any means, right? But I mean, he looks like, and what does he have, like a 3 or 4 inch height advantage on Volkanovski? But I think Volkanovski, if
5-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach more for Volkanovski.
Isn't that insane? Volkanovski's 5'6". How do you have more reach than a guy at 5'9", 5'10"? And you're 5'6"? This guy's a freak of nature, dude. I mean, come on.
It doesn't make sense.
That's insane. It literally does not make sense. Also, I mean, by nature, Holloway's a late-round fighter, similar like Nate Diaz. Yeah. So he gets slow starts. That's not going to work with a guy like Volkanovski.
Well, that's why he lost against Volkanovski last time, is because Volkanovski arguably took 1, 2, and 3, and there was no way Holloway could have won that without finishing him, and Volkanovski's not going to get finished. That's the problem.
I think I would even argue 4, but yes, like 1, 2, and 3, no problems, no questions asked. I mean, dude, like you look at fighters like Holloway who get started late. How does that work out? Look at, Cowboy. Cowboy's a late starter. Look what happened when he fought McGregor. Look at his last whatever fights. He's on like a 4-fight lose streak. You can't do that, man. That's
true.
Against this new generation, especially guys, your same age or younger, because they're both 28, I think. That does not work.
I know. So, I mean, it's Volkanovski all the way for me. I think you're in agreement with me there.
100%.
All right. Well, speaking of guys
I just saw Max Holloway swimming.
Swimming?
That was the last thing I was going to say. He was like walking and he was, what's up, man? And like he's got, he's a Hawaiian dude. He's enjoying the outdoors. Like he probably feels like he's in Hawaii. He's like swimming in the the water by the cage. Like, come on, man. The other guy's sparring. He's like, yeah,
He's going to get clapped.
It's gonna be. Oh man.
All right. So, I mean, quite the opposite of a Holloway slow starter in this fight. We have a guy in Jorge Masvidal taking on Kamaru Usman on short notice. We saw Masvidal in 5 seconds put a knee right through Ben Askren's cheek and just paralyze him for about 10 seconds on the ground like a dead fish.
I loved everything about that.
Ben Askren's a funny dude. I don't want to deviate from the topic, but Ben Askren is a funny dude on Twitter, at least.
Oh, yeah. I know you like him.
He tweeted something like, he's like, great, now that Masvidal's fighting, I have to relive the worst moment of my life on Twitter every single time I refresh.
And it was the 1-year anniversary. So it was like double trouble. It was like your birthday and Christmas. Like you're getting double presents. Like, dude,
oh, yeah.
It was literally the 1-year anniversary. And, Masvidal's fighting Saturday. So they're going to, talk about it. But, yeah, he's won his last however many. He beat up Darren Till. That was a good fight. That was a really good fight. And it could have – it was about to go to Till because Jorge actually got dropped, which is rare to see. And then he got back up and just put Darren to sleep. Then we had Askren. Then we saw Nate Diaz, which is kind of interesting. I wanted to talk to you about that fight because the way that I see like this whole landscape of the UFC going is – everybody's compared to McGregor, right? Because McGregor is really the guy that brought this, company to new, heights. I mean, I'll be honest, dude. I'm a McGregor fanboy. You know what I mean? That's the reason I got into the sport. A lot of people, I started boxing because of him, and a lot of people just are extremely infatuated with him as a person. Is this like the next McGregor? You think that? Do you get that vibe in a different way though?
In a different way. Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from there, but definitely in a different way. Like he's getting up there. Like he beat Wonderboy, or he lost to Wonderboy Thompson and then beat Darren Till, beat Ben Askren, beat Nate Diaz. Like he's getting up there in competition. And I think, like you mentioned this before, I think if he can beat Usman, he can definitely be put on the map. And I think he deserves to get paid if this is the case.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I mean, there's similarities to McGregor and differences, right? I mean, this is like street Jesus versus the notorious, like completely different people. And people are attracted to Jorge because of his honesty. And I mean, he came from the streets of Miami. I mean, one thing that's pretty interesting and does not scare me about this fight relating to Jorge is one of Jorge's first fights when he was 16 years old was a street fight where he was in the McDonald's drive-through weight line, and he got a call from I don't know if Kimbo Slice was running it at that time, but someone who ran it, the backyard street stuff, and they were like, yo, like you're fighting, like come fight today. So I mean, obviously there's no weight cutting involved and stuff like that. There's other, you're not flying to Abu Dhabi, you're driving to a backyard in Miami, totally different. But this is a guy who thrives for moments like this.
Yeah, without a doubt. Look, if you know how to fight, you know how to fight. You can only prepare so much. And I'm not going to downplay the preparation that goes into these fights because we saw, Masvidal's knee was essentially scripted against Ben Askren. Like, he knew exactly what he was going to do. He doesn't have much time to do that this time. But, look, if you don't call yourself BMF for no reason, you better get in the freaking cage and go for it. Like, you're going to be ready if you call yourself that. And look, I know Usman is really, really good, but he doesn't excite me. Like, he doesn't have that, wow factor to the point where I'm extremely confident in him. I don't know. I feel like I might be silly for going that route here, but, when I think of the aggression, fans. Not even a fan. It's not that I don't like Kamaru Usman because you have no reason not to like the guy. It's just when you think of excitement and, just very bare-bones basic, who's going to win this fight, and you take attitude, skill into consideration, it looks like Masvidal to me, but obviously the odds don't reflect that at all.
Sure.
Short notice affects Usman just as much as it affects Masvidal, aside from cardio,
important.
But I got to imagine that Masvidal is in shape.
He has been in shape. He's been doing a lot of spike ball, which I don't know if you ever played spike ball. After 10 minutes, like it's probably one of the hardest workouts. And that's a good UFC MMA workout. I mean, but
Mm-hmm.
taking a step back from that, we were just talking about, like, yeah, Kamaru Usman is not the most exciting guy, but that doesn't mean sleep on him at all. Look at
No.
Khabib. I mean, he's a guy who's undefeated in the UFC and might be considered one of the most, like, to some, boring champions of all time until he got involved with McGregor. I mean, really, the reason he got on the radar was because he was fighting McGregor and had that big beef with him. Other than that, I mean, he's just a super straightforward guy, extremely religious, and it's sad to say, but that doesn't excite a lot of people. And
Oh, it's
to
the
draw
truth.
the parallel here, yeah, and I mean, you look at Kamaru Usman, extremely, for the most part, respectful, quiet, just kind of a normal guy. And a
Yeah.
lot of fans don't like to see that. So that's what I'm saying. The fan in us is showing, like, obviously people are drawn to Jorge Masvidal, but that doesn't mean he's going to win, right? And you brought up a good point. You said, hey, look, like, this is just as much a big deal for Kamaru as it is for Jorge. Look, Kamaru has been training for Gilbert Melendez. That's a guy who goes for takedowns and
Gilbert
throws
Burns.
overhand rights. Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Gilbert Burns. Thank you. Is a guy who goes for the takedowns and throws overhand rights and has a totally different fight style than our buddy Jorge over here. This is a street fighter, like, on 6 days' notice. So he's in shape, but does the whole game plan changes. So I give
agree.
respect to Kamaru for that.
No, 100%. He just doesn't.
It's
He's
a
not like,
lose for him.
aside from Colby Covington in his last fight, he hasn't shown that he can knock out like the big guns. And Masvidal has the chin to withstand 5 rounds and to go in there and just absolutely brawl and be a street fighter, like you mentioned. So, like,
Yep.
I don't know. I just feel like Masvidal is going to give himself a lot more chances to win this. And he's a good wrestler. He can get on the ground. He can scrap with you. So, I don't know.
100%. Yeah,
This is a fight.
speaking on the,
Go ahead, sorry.
No, just speaking on the wrestling, Masvidal's been wrestling with Penn State's #1 wrestler recently. I don't know if he lives in the Miami area or how they set that up, but he's been really, I don't know if it's by chance, but just focusing on his wrestling, right? So I'm sure if this fight goes to the ground, Kamaru obviously has the dominant wrestling in this matchup. But I think that if he's training with this Penn State guy, like I've heard he is, he'll be able to get up and treat it back to a street fight and get it back where it should be, which is on the feet for this fight.
Without a doubt. Yeah, look, this is enough for me to take Masvidal in this. With these odds, I just think that he's a live dog here. He's a live player, and he can get in there and he can win this fight, whether it's by decision. I don't know if Usman's ever been finished, but I mean, look, that's not going to be my #1 choice here. He's got 1 loss. I don't know if he got knocked out. I doubt it.
I think it actually was. You can correct me. Actually, we should probably look that up.
I'm going to look it up right now.
It was a knockout, and it was a while ago.
Submission in 2013.
Oh,
it wasn't in the UFC
either. It was
either.
A finish. He didn't go. Got it. Interesting.
So look, regardless, like, I don't know. Plus 240 is enough for me to put my money on Masvidal here because I'm not taking -300 against Jorge Masvidal. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to see me doing that.
Yeah, and there's a certain part of, after you watch UFC for a decent amount of time and just being a educated fan, there's a certain part of the non-tangibles that play a part too. Things like, watching these videos prior to the fights, seeing how they walk out. You can, I don't know if you've ever done this, but you change a bet. Like, I remember Cody Garbrandt's last fight. I was betting on the other guy because some, website told me to. I saw the way that guy walked out. You get an intuition. You see how he walks out. You're like, that guy's going to knock whoever out. And it switched the bet immediately, saved my night. But, dude, I mean, like, there's something going on here. Did you see the elevator incident between Jorge and Kamaru? Where
I don't think so, no.
If you haven't already, I got to show you this. I don't have it up and ready, but I wish that we could get that thrown up. We'll get there eventually. But Jorge is walking into an elevator. Oh, you're going to pull it up. Perfect. Essentially,
I can't pull it up on the stream,
but so you can see it.
I'll be able to see it.
And just perfect. For the people listening, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but Jorge walks into an elevator in Abu Dhabi, face mask on. He clearly cannot see Kamaru Usman. He walks into this elevator. The next elevator over, Kamaru walks out and sees Jorge and clearly diverts his attention to avoid him. Now, they were also having beef the last time they saw each other, saying, "Oh, you won't mess me up. You won't F me up," blah, 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 to each other. And Kamaru looked petrified when he saw Jorge in the flesh when you walk out of an elevator.
This is such a funny picture.
I wish
I
the
can't
people could
I
see
can't
it.
find the video here. I'll put it up in the video. I'll put the picture up. But
I'm
I think this is
sure
hilarious just
I'll,
because
I'm
it looks
gonna
like
send
it's
it to
straight
you
out of a
right now.
movie. It literally looks like it's straight out of a movie.
It's actually insane. It's on
This is wild.
for the people watching, if MMA uncensored or should, because they cover most of the, I guess you could call it gossip going on with the UFC. But that's where I woke up this morning and I think I saw it. I'll send it to you. But
I think I got it here.
little
Let's
things.
see. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I mean, there's just things
That's it.
like that, So to me, that was a
Without a
pretty
doubt.
tall tale sign that that somebody wants to fight and somebody doesn't want to.
I agree.
So we'll see how that plays out.
I hope so. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, kind of reviewing this, going into this. I mean, we went over this already, but I would leave. If I was going to do a parlay here, I would probably throw Rose in it. I'd throw a finish with Jan in there. I'd throw Volkanovski in there. I wouldn't make that a finish just to play it safe. And then I would go with Masvidal as the underdog to win that. I think that's a pretty, educated MMA fan, safe way to go about this. Now, who knows what's going to happen? There's been so many upsets since all of this, COVID has started. Anthony Smith, got completely dogged in that fight. I mean, we watched Tyron Woodley get dogged also. There was about 5 main fights in a row. But, I mean, look, I think that, I think that we talked about mostly everything. But like I said, I would leave Paige Van Zandt out of parlays. I would bet on that straight, whatever you're feeling, see how they walk out. And then I would do a little parlay action and then do two parlays with each other. And then I would Jorge Masvidal. If you're going to bet on him, I'd bet straight. And maybe you're going to have a few drinks by that point. It's going to be like probably 12:30 in the morning. Maybe throw a little extra money on him, throw an extra 20 or 50 straight, and thank us later.
There you go. No, I'm in agreement with you. I really don't have any other picks here. Like I'd go Van Zandt straight. I would probably do maybe a little parlay with like Namajunas, Jan, and Volkanovski for like probably like a plus 200 payout maybe. And then Masvidal straight. That's really what I have. I'll be writing a blog and putting it up on the site. Just pretty much everything we talked about summed up into writing form, I guess. Just easy shorthand for you guys. The Caps on Sports Twitter, which is at Caps on Sports, will be live tweeting the entire event as usual. And as for the Cap Rack podcast, this was the first episode. It's something I plan to do 10 minutes a day, every single morning, just running down through MLB, the NBA, depending on what sports are going on. Obviously, everything has been kind of tossed upside down. Like we're going to have the MLB and the NBA regular seasons. Well, not the regular season for the NBA, but kind of their little playoff tournament. But it's going to be going on at the same time, and we don't really have that. So I'm going to go run through every single thing, try to keep it as close to 10 minutes or under, just to give you guys or save you guys the trouble of pretty much going through all these random articles from random people and just take all the fat off and just give you the lean information that you need to know to make a decision. And if you want to research stuff some more, you'll be able to do that. So keep an eye out for that. I'm looking at doing that maybe 2 weeks from now when the baseball season starts. So I don't really have an outro here, but this is the Cap Rack. Stay tuned for, I can't really say tomorrow's episode because there's no episode tomorrow, but stay tuned for more sports and we'll be back.
Awesome.